Hey, everybody, and welcome to Derek the Douche's podcast. Sorry for those of you who don't like the name. I know it's a little tough for people to swallow right now. But I have a special guest with me today. I'd like to introduce him. His name is Patrick Harney. He grew up in Lansing, Michigan, I believe it was.
hmm
And weren't you just telling me, are you actually going back to Michigan for some kind of vacation with your family?
Oh yeah, no, I live in Michigan. Yeah, I'm going to Silver Lake um, with my fiance and her family. We're going for about a week. It's right kind of along Lake Michigan area, so we go every year. That's actually where I proposed last year.
No, wow.
Yeah, so
All
we'll
right,
be
that's
there for
special.
the anniversary of it, I guess, is on Tuesday. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it'll be a much needed vacation. Nice time to kind of get away and just kind of enjoy the water. So
Yeah, and actually, we were talking a little bit about how COVID affected you, and you were actually talking to me about how you started like a business or trying to start a business with just to get income flowing. Now, what that actually brought to mind was, well, how did you get started with acting? Like, how did you get into doing your acting or producing, and what were the steps you took to do that?
yeah, well, I started when I was in eighth grade.
Wow,
I went out for the school's musical because a
shit.
friend of mine kept badgering me to do it, and so I said, all right, fine, whatever. I'll at least audition, and I'm not gonna take it seriously because I was always a sports guy. I was
Yeah,
always, I played basketball all the way through high school. I played football all the way through middle school, ran track through some of high school, and so the music and acting side, that was never really, I loved movies, but that was never
yeah.
kind of cool, I guess you
You
could
had a
say.
more athletic background at the time.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I went out for the musical, and they offered me a lead role,
Wow.
and I had said no because it was at the time the musical was during basketball season, so I was like, I can't do it anyway.
Yeah.
They said, no, 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 we'll make it work, and basically gave me like every reason to say yes, and basically squashed any excuse that I came up with.
Yeah.
So, so I did that show and I fell in love with it. And then I did every show after that, all the way through high school. And then I even did a community theater musical in my freshman year of college. And then I got into film. I started doing some film stuff at MSU. I went to Michigan State University,
Yep.
and yeah, and I did some film stuff there, and it was awesome. I got to meet some really really cool people, and got to learn some of the do's and don'ts of how a set should work, and but, I mean, because they're all students too. All the people that you're working
Yeah.
with, they're all students too. So everybody's kind of learning together, which is really cool. It's a very unique experience. Um, and it helped prepare me to get onto a professional set, and yeah, it just kind of snowballed from there.
So did you do like film festivals and things like that?
Yeah, I actually had a film that I did at MSU. It's called Sort of Late. It's a comedy, and um, what was cool about that was there was a program at MSU, and it was called Theater to Film. And what this program was that in the fall there would be a class they'd write a play, and then they would cast it and they would perform it.
All
And
right.
then in the spring they would have the same writing class. They would take that play and turn it into a screenplay, and then they would cast it and they'd film it and they'd film the movie. I got in on the movie side, and we took it to the Traverse City Film Festival, which is one of the biggest film festivals in the country. And yeah, and we almost sold out the theater at the screening of it. So yeah, I mean, it's been great. I've had a few short films go to some film festival circuits, and or go through the film festival circuit, I should say, and I've had some films that have gotten some really cool awards, and I
Yeah, I
mean
seen you won. What
that's
was
not
one
why
of the?
we do it, but
I saw you won a particular. What was the award I seen you win? I can't even think of the name of it right now. I just saw it was in the IMDb page. One of the awards that you won for that. One of your roles.
oh well, no, it's no. So the award that's listed on my IMDb page was for it was a nomination for the community theater show that I did freshman year of college. Um, there was an award thing, and I got nominated for best lead actor in a musical, but um, but yeah, I mean, mostly though, like there's a short film that I produced on. It's called Ever After, and that won a bunch of awards at the film festival circuit. You know, because the performances by Mason Hyger and Callie Bustle were just phenomenal. So, you know, that I was just lucky to kind of be a part of, and that was actually the first project that I produced on. Was that film, and it was cool to kind of be on the backside of it, and kind of learn some of the business portions of it. But I realized how much I didn't do since, you know, I'm producing on this feature film coming up, Locker 42. I realize now how much I didn't do on, you know, on Ever After. Granted, it was a short film, so it wasn't a
Yeah.
full feature and it wasn't as big of a scope. But yeah, I learned a lot, and I've learned a lot during the process of this film since it's in
Yeah.
pre-production right now. Um, yeah, it's. I mean, every film you do, you learn more and more, and everything, you know. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, man, I wish I could go back and redo this film because you know, or I wish I
Yeah.
could go back and redo this show because I know I could do a lot better, you know. But at the time, I did the best I could with the tools that I had. So,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, the more you go forward, the more and more you learn. And actually, Locker 42, I mean, you just spoke with Larry Hankin.
Yeah.
So he's going to be in our film.
That's awesome. I like
Um,
that. Good
yeah,
guy.
yeah. He's a great guy. And so yeah, it'll be a fun time.
Yeah, so I've noticed. So from hearing you talk about it, you learned different aspects of, like, it sounds like acting from the producer side, like maybe what they look for in certain scenes, or maybe what you could work on yourself. So it shows that you're trying to critique yourself and grow, which is great. I think that's what everyone needs in their line of work that they do. But how what's it like producing and then also acting in something?
Um,
Like, is that does it conflict each other at all?
no, because the producing's done before and after. At least if I'm acting on a project also,
Hmm.
then I produce during all the pre-production and development. And then when we go to film, I'm solely acting, and that's my only focus. And then when we're done with that, when we're done with filming, then I put my producer hat back on and I move forward that way. You know, I obviously, you know, you keep things in mind, whether time, you know, because the whole thing of like time is money. Well,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, it really is. You know, so you keep that in the back of your head. But if I go on to set and I'm too worried about, you know, um, I'm worried about some logistic, you know, issue, then I'm taking myself completely out of the character, and that will show on screen. So, you know, I have to kind of separate the two as best I can. You know, I may still help make decisions, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm an actor first, and
Yes.
that, you know, that's first and foremost, and then the producing side is just kind of like a, you know, I just like to learn as much as I can about as much as I can. Not
Yeah, that's
because I
good.
want to be like, oh, I want to be a know-it-all, but
No,
just
no.
because I'm just a super like movie nerd and
Yeah.
love
What's your
uh,
favorite movie?
uh, Interstellar, Christopher Nolan's
That's a good movie.
Interstellar. Yeah,
That's a mind
that's
fuck. It's a
that's
good
my
movie.
favorite of all time.
Yeah, I had to watch it a couple of times to get the dimensionals, like how they have
Yeah,
to leave the dimension, and I had to watch that a couple of times actually for it to click. But I get it. I mean, as much as, you know, someone can get it, a regular person can understand it.
yeah.
You
Well,
know,
and what's cool about that movie is the more you watch it, the more you pick up. And
exactly. You
so,
can,
it's
yeah,
almost like you're watching a different movie every single time you watch it, which I love those types of movies, and that's pretty much how Christopher Nolan's movies are, all of them
yeah,
for the most part. Is, you know, I mean, Inception's the same way, uh, and even the Dark Knight series, you know,
yep.
I mean, they're masterpieces, and I think, you know, and he's also my favorite director. If
Yeah.
you can't tell, so
Ridley Scott is mine. I think Ridley Scott, Stephen King for
yeah,
horror. I really like Stephen King. Clive Owen, I
Ridley
think.
Scott's really good.
Well, I'm sorry, no, Clive Baker. I think he's underrated. I really do. I like his stories, like Book of the Blood. I thought that was really good. If you haven't watched it, it's kind of
Mm-mm.
interesting, kind of gross. But
Guy
yeah,
Guy
that's
Ritchie's
interesting.
good too. I like
Yeah,
Guy
he
Ritchie.
is. He is. He's very funny. Like his
No,
his uh his take on directing films was really good. Actually, I had a problem with one. I want to see if you agree. Have you seen Bird Box?
no.
All right. If you ever watch that, let me know
I'm
if you
sorry.
agree.
I'm sorry if I just killed your whole thing, but
No, 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 no. I'm gonna just tell you why. Because the way they shoot the movie, it's just like a survival of a pandemic per se, right? Like something really bad happens and they have to survive. But what they do in the movie is they keep cutting to the future, and you see which characters get to the end already while they're kind of going through everything. It kind of takes away, like, why would they? I don't understand why. I think that's such a bad way to direct a movie. Like, you take away the whole wondering who's going to survive this pandemic by
Well,
showing us who's alive 45, minutes into the future.
I don't necessarily think it's a bad way of directing. I think it's an interesting take on
Okay.
everybody does the whole like who's going to survive thing.
Yeah.
So instead, and I haven't seen it, so I could be completely off, but instead it almost sounds like it's more of a, okay, here's who lives, here's who survives. Now you need to try and piece together what their journey to get to those points were.
Gotcha.
So it's like, okay, well, how does this we know he's dead, so how does he die?
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Was it
Okay.
his fault? Was it one of the other characters' fault? Was it something that they couldn't control? I think it's more of just an artistic choice to be unique.
Yeah. All right.
Um,
I could see that then. That makes sense. I
but
didn't
again,
think of it like that.
I mean, I haven't seen it, and maybe if I see it, I'll be
You'll
like,
like
no,
it. It's real popular. It's Sandra Bullock's in it. It's like it's a really popular Netflix movie. Did really well.
wait a minute, Bird Box?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, yes, I have seen it.
All right.
Yeah,
See.
yeah,
See.
yeah, dude,
I don't
no.
know. Like, it was a good movie. I just didn't. It just took me out of it because I already knew who lived and died. So I was like, oh, I don't really care about these characters because I already know they're gonna die. So
I
I
thought you
didn't. I
said
didn't
Red
invest
Box.
myself in it.
I,
Oh no.
I thought you said
I
Red
didn't.
Box. I
I
was like,
think
I've never seen Red Box.
I didn't even know Redbox was still around.
Yeah. No, yeah, yeah. Dude, that movie was great. I love
Yeah,
that movie. But it
it
was,
was.
I think it was interesting to kind of see. I think it was more so that choice of like, how did they get there? What happened to these people? Why
Yeah.
are they not here? Why are they not here now?
Now that you say that, it makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I didn't view it like that, but you know why I didn't view it like that? Because I haven't done it on your side. See, I'm viewing the movies as somebody who just views movies, not with the knowledge of what goes into the writing, what goes into directing, producing the scenes, and all that.
Yeah.
So for me, I would say that's how like an average dummy watches a movie and like.
No. Well,
But
when the biggest thing I think is, I mean, every film wants to be unique. Every film wants to have its own trademark, if you will, And if you start doing the same thing that everybody else does, if you start following the same formula that everybody else does, that's when you start to get into that whole like, oh, well, what movie was that?
yeah,
Well, it was kind of like this, but it was kind of like this movie, but I don't really remember.
yeah.
You want it to be distinct. You want it to be like, oh, like that was Bird Box. That was like the whole thing was crazy.
Yeah.
So, and also, I mean, you gotta think too. It's the whole point of a movie is to kind of take yourself out of reality for a little while, and whether it's, because I was actually talking with my dad about this the other day. We were talking about was it the Fast and Furious movies, and we
Oh
were kind of
God,
talking about
I
how,
stopped at the Tokyo Drift, so I couldn't tell you.
well, we were kind of talking about how like obnoxious they've gotten. First they started out as just like street driving, like kind of criminals, whatever. But then it turned into like they're like special forces, like
Yeah,
SWAT members or whatever.
going to
Um,
space. And the
and you
next
see
one I heard.
and the Rock is like pushing a torpedo with
Yep.
one hand while holding onto a truck sliding on the ice. It's like it's ridiculous. But at the same time, like my dad was saying, he goes, honestly, he goes, but that's what's kind of cool about it is so obnoxious that you just kind of like let go of the whole like, oh, this isn't realistic, and you just
Yes.
enjoy the action of it, and you
Yeah.
enjoy the craziness of it.
Yeah, because they've made it so ridiculous that that's what you have to do. You have no
Yeah,
choice.
exactly.
That's great. No, that's a good example. I like that. But I heard you mention earlier, and actually was wondering about character. How much of your own life and personal experience do you take into your own characters? Because you also act on Locker 42, I believe, as a police officer. So like, how much of your own personal experiences through life do you take into your characters that help you develop your characters?
I mean, I can take only as much as I can, I guess. I mean, I don't. I mean, I'm not a cop, so obviously, I can't pull from personal experience, but I can talk with, and I do plan to sit down with some of the local police officers and detectives and kind of just pick their brain a little bit and see.
Well, maybe the better question is, how do you develop the personality for your character?
Yeah.
Maybe that was the better question I was going for.
Well, what's nice is, for the most part, a lot of the characters that I've played, the personality is kind of written on the page.
Mm,
But I do get to take some artistic liberties and you know, I mean, that's what's fun about creating a character is you get to create the character. You get to give him a walk. You get to give him a talk, a cadence in
yeah.
the way he speaks. You get to talk about, or you get to do. I mean, I always like to have input as to what my character's wearing and what my character looks like, just because it helps me kind of get into the character a little bit better.
Yeah.
So and I always like to try and play characters where their look is just a little different every time. Because I don't want it to be one of those things where it's like, oh, this is Patrick Harney and another,
Yeah.
oh, there's Patrick Harney in this movie, and then there's Patrick Harney in this
No,
movie.
because you look different in the stuff I've seen you in. You don't look the same person.
Yep,
That's for sure.
exactly, and that's what I try to go for. And I think so. Really, I start with what the character looks like, because you can really tell a lot about a person by the way that they dress, by the way they choose to dress, by the way that they walk, by the way that they, take care in terms of their hygiene. Is he clean cut or is he scruffy like this, or does he have a beard that's tapered? Does he, so he chooses to have a beard, but it's cleaned up, or just weird stuff like that. I dive into, and because then it kind of allows me to think, okay, well, he cares about what people thinks of him in terms of how he looks, and he cares about what his outer appearance is. Okay, now I can dive inside as to, okay, well, why is that? Why does he care so much about the watch that he's wearing, or why does he care so much about his hair being, every single hair being in its perfect place.
Yeah. And that will lead to like character's confidence and the character's
Yeah,
attitude, I'd imagine too.
exactly. Yep.
That
And
makes
so,
sense.
yeah, so that's where I start. Some people start inward and go outward. I start
Mhm.
outward and go inward.
All right.
That's what's worked best for me. Everybody's got their own process. Everybody's got their own way of doing things. And, as long as it works for them and as long as it translates on the screen, then it's good. So,
I know you were telling me earlier about Indiegogo page, was it?
yeah, so for Locker 42, right now we're in the process of doing our or building our fund. So we're trying to secure our budget. We're speaking with different potential investors, but we also want to get or have a way that people can get involved who maybe aren't able to give the $100,000 or $200,000 or whatever, but they just want to give maybe $25 or $100, and be a part of and still be a part of the film, and be able to support us. Um, so right now we are almost done building our Indiegogo campaign, and then once we're done, we're going to post it. The goal that we're going for on there is $100,000. There's a bunch of different perks on there. So that way it's not, okay, hey, give us $25 and thanks.
Go on your
Um,
way, yeah.
so like, for example, we have perks going from a $25 perk package all the way to a $50,000 perk package. So for $25, if you give $25, you will get you'll get your name in the thank yous and the credits of the film. Or if you give $50,000, you'll be an executive producer, and or there's a perk where you can get um, a copy of the script. It's signed from the cast. There's a perk that has a signed, like the final poster will be signed by the cast. You can get like the red carpet VIP access. There's a perk for that as well. So there's perks that range all the way from small to big. Then it gives people the option, and it gives people kind of incentive to be like, hey, I kind of want to be a part of this film. You can get it. You can visit the set for a day. You can even get a walk-on role and get a line,
Wow.
and that'll be guaranteed to be in the film. So yeah, it's some really, really cool
That's
stuff.
worth it right there in itself for anybody
Yeah,
who's even been in, has like the acting bug, they can kind of get it out of their system.
exactly.
That's
And
perfect.
so yeah, so there's definitely versions of, um, or definitely a bunch of different perks that people can choose from to be able to get involved, and um, you know, and kind of be a part of something that not many people can say that been a part of. I mean,
Yeah.
not a lot of people can say that they've been a part of the making of a film.
No.
And once their name's in it, then it's in it forever,
Yep.
you know? So yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it launching. You know, right now we're just kind of creating the video for it that's on the launch page to kind of just be able to say, hey, who we are and what the campaign's about. So
the page itself, what is it? Just indiegogo.com?
yeah, so when we launch it, I'll post it like on Facebook, and I'll
Oh, I
share it,
got you. All right.
and I'll share it just about everywhere. And if they follow that link, then it'll take them right to the campaign page, and then they can follow all the prompts and everything on there. But yeah, I mean, crowdfunding it does some great stuff, and it's a cool way to kind of get people together and be a part of making something that's pretty cool. So.
Yeah, that's kind of, I think, what everybody should be doing right now, especially with everything that's going on. It's good to come together right now, so that's good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is spreading more love and
Yeah.
and smiling more.
Yeah,
being
absolutely.
kind,
Yeah. So I just want to thank you for coming out today. Is there anything else you'd like to cover? Like any plugins you'd like to give in? Any way they can follow you?
Yeah.
Because I know I've shared your fan page a few times, but is there an easier way to, like, an Instagram?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of keeping up on all the projects that I'm doing, you can follow me or you can find me on IMDb. And then also, if you go to Instagram, I'm at pharns194. So PHARNS 194. And then on Facebook, I am at official P Harney. That's my actor page. Twitter, I'm the same as Instagram. It's the same handle. I don't use Twitter all that much, but yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I think Twitter's dying, to be honest with you.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think it's as
So
popular as it used to be.
yeah, I think Instagram's kind of taken over everything, but yeah, so that's kind of where you can follow me. But yeah, I mean, keep going to my IMDb page and checking out. I've got a couple projects that will probably be popping up there that are
Scapegoat's
new.
one of them, right?
Yep. So Scapegoat, we filmed that. It's in post production. Actually, I think the distribution company has it right now. So we should be getting a release for that pretty soon here. But yeah, I mean, if you feel so inclined, follow me and try to keep up on what I'm doing, and yeah, kind of go from
All
there.
right. I appreciate having you on today. Didn't mean to cut you short. I know you gotta get going with your packing and stuff.
I
So
appreciate it, man.
No, I thank you again. Thank you for your time, and I'm sure maybe we can have you back on again after a few things open back up for you if you want to discuss more about some of your career and some of the things that are going on.
Definitely, man. I appreciate you having me on, brother.
No, I appreciate it too, man. Thank you. Hey, and have a safe trip and have fun with the fam.
Thanks, man.
All right, have a good one.